Hello and welcome to the workout. Today we've got legs, shoulders, and abs. I've got a couple of new exercises for you. I'm so excited. We are going to be working in supersets today. 2 exercises put back to back with no rest in between, and then we're going to take a short rest after that superset. We're going to be doing a total of 2 supersets each, but if you want a harder workout today, you're going to move a bit faster, take shorter rest, and do 3 supersets in total. I've got 5 combinations of 2 exercises. It's going to be a great workout. And remember, this is a strength-based workout, so I want you to be using weight loads where you are really challenged for the last 2 repetitions of every single set. Your job is to aim for 12 repetitions using a weight load where reps 11 and 12 are challenging. If you're limited by your home exercise equipment, you can do more reps, you can move faster, and you can do more sets. Let's get started. Take a big inhale up and exhale it out. Let's do that 2 more times. And when you inhale up, I want you to stretch way up to the sky. Exhale it out and do that again. When you stretch up long here, it activates that important transverse abdominis muscle. Come on up and hold. So what I want you to do is actively reach up for your ceiling, breathe in the way that you need to, and feel that activation in your core and your back, actively reaching up as high as you possibly can for your ceiling. Relax it down. Now, bring your feet right under your hips. Knees are soft, and we're going to do it again. Arms over your head, and I want you to actively reach up. Stretch yourself as long as you possibly can. If you feel the muscles of your back grab, that's an indication that you are doing this right and that you are activating that transverse abdominis, which is such an important muscle to draw your torso inward. And relax it out. Take your hands separated. Let's come into some spinal rotations. As you turn away from one leg, I want you to clamp down and activate that glute. So, squeeze the glute on your left, on your right, on your left, on your right. Let your arms just naturally come around and try to look all the way over your shoulder, back behind you, keeping that transverse abdominis drawn inward, letting your arms just relax. Let them go where they go. I love this preparatory move because it relaxes the spine. It brings some mobility to the hips. It feels good. It gets us moving. It warms up the spinal muscles. It brings some mobility to the hips and it activates your glutes. How's that for a preparatory exercise? Let's do 2 more. And relax. Bring your feet together. One of my favorites of all time. Knees are soft. Bring your balance onto your right leg. Take a moment to settle in. Whenever you're doing balance exercises, it takes a moment for your body to catch up and for all the systems of balance to get with the program. So take a moment until you settle in, and then using your arms for balance, I want you to just look around your space. Move your eyeballs and move your head left to right around your space. It's going to throw your balance off. That's exactly what we are intending here. If you have to tap down to catch your balance, that is expected. And if this is easy for you, I want you to look up, look down, look all around. The more you move your eyes, the more your balance is going to be challenged and you're going to feel that glute medius warm up like nobody's business along with the arch of that right foot. And relax and switch sides. Same thing on the other side. Start with your feet together, knees bent. Let your balance settle in first. Make sure that you're keeping your standing leg slightly bent. If you are mirroring me, you're on your left leg, keeping that left knee bent. And look left to right. Now, if this is really challenging on your balance, tap down as much as you need to, or have a chair or a wall nearby where you can steady yourself. Everybody needs to be working on single leg balance. This is one of the most important exercises, no matter how old you are, no matter how fit you are, no matter how badass you think you are. This is an incredible exercise and you need to be proficient at it. Look around, look up, look down, look all around. The more you can look around and hold your balance, the more functional you are. Keep your knee bent, and if you feel the arch of that left foot firing, that's part of the value of this exercise. It's an incredible exercise to prepare the stabilizers of your legs, hip, core, and back, and it gets us ready for today's leg workout. And relax it down. Feet together, let's come into some reverse lunges. Big reach up, come back into a reverse lunge. For now, just a little modified reverse lunge, coming down about halfway, bringing your hand to your front knee for a little bit of support. If this is challenging enough for you, you can stay here. Now remember, we're going through a few exercises here just to prepare you for the workout. So it should warm you up. It should be mildly active, not super hard. And you can just remain here with this variation. Or if you got some higher energy today and you want to make it bigger, we're going to drop this all the way down to a complete lunge and a big reach. Complete lunge. Letting your back knee release to the ground so that you get that full opening on the front of the hip of the leg that's in the back. Actively and dynamically warming up hip flexor of that leg that's stepping back, glutes, quads, and hamstrings of that leg in front. Really drive in to the front heel with no pressure on your toes in a perfect world ever. So in the Holly Perkins world, you've never got pressure on your toes. Toes are relaxed, focusing your energy and the pressure into the heel and or midfoot. That's going to teach you to really activate the posterior chain muscles and protect the knees. One more. And feet separated, nice and wide. Take a look down and make sure that your feet are truly parallel to each other. Pretty wide, heavy on your heels. Bend your knees, hips back, and we're going to go side to side. Throughout this exercise, take a look down and make sure that your feet are staying parallel to each other. Really important. If while you're doing this exercise, you feel acute pain or discomfort in your knees, you're either not going to do the exercise or open your toes slightly, but only if you're feeling active discomfort in the knees. I want you to sit a little deeper, sitting down into that leg, sweeping all the way across the floor. This is basically a single leg squat. So really think about sitting deeply into the side of the leg that you're sitting into. Really sit deep, press into the heel, reach your hips back. Press those hips way back, and you'll notice a really great dynamic stretch on the inner thigh of the leg that's straight. Okay? This exercise is extra important today because of our very first exercise, the Cossack Squat. It's really going to challenge your inner thighs. So, sit deep here. Make sure you're sitting deep enough to get a stretch on your inner thighs. And one more. And relax. Come on up. Take a big inhale up. Interlock your fingers. Bring them back behind your head. Activate your elbows back behind you, letting your chest reach forward. Draw your shoulder blades towards each other. Abdomen in. A little bit of a stretch. Opening through the chest. Activating the shoulder blades back towards each other, which is a very important position cue for these shoulder workouts. Relax it out. We got legs, shoulders, and abs today. Let me tell you something super important for every single exercise, but extra important for shoulder exercises. For every shoulder exercise we do, it's critical that you are bringing your shoulders back in space and down towards your hips. That's called shoulder retraction and depression. Every single shoulder exercise that we do begins in this position. You lock off that position like your life depends on it. Then we go for the shoulder exercise. It's extra important for shoulder exercises, but it's important for every exercise, including lower body and abs. Let me show you our first two exercises. If you want to get out ahead of us and do 3 sets, you are welcome to. Remember, your job is to find a weight load where 12 repetitions are hard. First exercise is called a partial Cossack squat. Now, some of you are going to want to do this body weight only. Some of you are going to want to use light dumbbells, 3 to 5 pound dumbbells, because it's quite a challenging exercise. You're going to take your feet super wide, toes turned open, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to sit down. You're going to sit over to one side, lifting the heel, immediately come up and come to the other side. Now, you want your feet super wide so that you can sit down as much as possible. It's really important that your hips are reaching back here. Reach your hips back. Reach your hips back. Now listen, it's okay if your knee goes beyond your toe a wee little bit. That's to be expected. First exercise. Second exercise is an oldie but a goodie, dumbbell upright row. You guys ready? So if you've never done a Cossack squat before, please start with your body weight only. I will do a few body weight, and then I'll pick up some dumbbells to show you how to do it with dumbbells. Take your feet pretty wide, okay? Turn your toes open, not in a full plie, but quite open. Now bend your knees, sit your booty back, okay? Come over to sit on one side as if your elbows are gonna come down and tap that front thigh. Toe is up, switch sides. As if your elbows are gonna come down onto that thigh. If you need a little help, use your hand on your thigh just like this. 12 repetitions on each side, which is a total of 24. So we've got 1 and 1. If you want to use dumbbells, you can use 1 or 2 dumbbells. Same setup. Here we go. Okay. Just alternating sides, staying heavy on your heels. Make sure at the bottom you're pressing your hips way back. So you should be able to keep your dumbbell at your sternum with your elbows forward, and your elbow just very gently touches the knee when you come over to the side, okay? So that elbow should line right up with your knee, provided your hips are far enough back in space. Press those hips back, keeping that neutral arch in your lower spine. 24 in total. Last one, going right into upright row. You feel in your inner thighs? I warned you, that exercise is big inner thighs. Feet under the hips, shoulders back and down. Our first shoulder exercise, 12 reps with a challenging weight load. For most of you, that's going to be 5, 8, 10 or more, depending on your fitness level, depending on your journey, and depending on your experience. I got a hot tip for you. Every exercise can be effective irrespective of your fitness level. If you're super fit, this is still an important exercise. You just got to go a little heavier. So it's your weight load that determines how challenging this workout is, not the exercise. The basics are super important, and you can challenge yourself by using heavier weights. 12 reps here, and now we take a rest. Take at least 10 to 15 seconds rest. If you want a harder workout today, you will then get ahead of me and start your second superset of these same 2 exercises. I'll be going through 2 sets of the superset, and then we'll move on to the next one. In between, just make sure you keep your feet moving, short little break. The purpose of this break is to let your heart rate come down, let your musculature recover a little bit so that in your second set, you can work harder. This is not a cardio workout. This is a strength workout. And the way we get stronger and the way we build gorgeous muscles is by challenging ourselves safely and appropriately with progressively harder weight loads. That means you gotta take a little bit of a rest so that you can work harder. If you feel like you don't need a rest, my friend, you're not using challenging enough weight loads. It's not because you're super fit, it's because you need heavier weights. All right, let's go. Second set. So Cossack Squat, again, body weight only if you want. Single dumbbell at the collarbone. Here we go. Toes are open, quite wide if you haven't already figured that out. Put your body weight into your heels. Push your hips back. Here we go. Sitting deep, and you're going to count out 12 on each side. Sitting down heavy onto the heel. This is the Mac Daddy booty exercise. I got to tell you, once you get this exercise down, this is an incredible glute building exercise. Why we haven't done it before, I'm not sure. But I'm glad I woke up with the idea. Every now and then, you're probably going to want to reposition your feet, and that's totally fine. If your feet start to get into a strange position, just reposition them, because you do really want to be set up well for this exercise so that your body weight stays heavy on the heel that you're sitting onto, okay? Heavy on that heel that you're sitting onto. So you sit heavily into the heel and you press off that heel. You're going to feel this in your glutes, your whole hip structure, and probably a little in your lower back. That's normal as long as it's not overt pain. My back muscles are firing right now. That's very different than sharp or problematic acute back pain that signals injury. Listen to your body. Feet separated about hip distance, elbows nice and high for our upright row. If that first set was doable for you, grab yourself some heavier dumbbells, just like I did. This is one of my favorite exercises. If you have healthy shoulders, end with your elbows higher than your dumbbells. If you know you have a history of funky shoulders, end with your elbows at the height of your shoulders. It's up to you, whatever feels good. Now, historically, I had a problem with my shoulders, but I took a few years and really dedicated to getting them healthy. And now I'm proud to admit I've got some bulletproof shoulders. So even if you do have a history of problems with your shoulders, you can rehab them and make them better. Short break. 10 to 15 seconds at a minimum. You are welcome to do a third superset of those two exercises. While you're resting, let me show you our next superset. Another new exercise for you today. It's called a B stance Arnold Press. B stance single leg deadlift. Our second exercise is an Arnold Press. There are a couple of ways of doing what's called a B stance anything. I'm going to teach you the way that I like it. So you're going to start with your feet together and you're going to dedicate a leg that you're working on. You're going to start with your right leg, okay? So right leg, feet together. You're going to bend into the leg that you're working, your right leg. Your other leg is going to come back behind you about a half of a step just to stabilize your balance. That front knee is bent and we are coming into a single leg deadlift with 2 dumbbells. So it's exactly like we always do our single leg deadlift with 2 dumbbells, but it's called a B stance. Second exercise, Arnold Press, straight up over the head, palms face your face, press up over your head. You ready for our second superset? Let's go. You're going to be on your right leg, feet together, both knees bent, come into a B stance, keeping that right leg slightly bent. That's the leg that you're working on. Neutral, natural arch in your lower back. Dumbbells come down mid-shin. Squeeze your glute at the top. 12 reps. It's real important here that you keep a natural arch in your lower back. That goddess Mother Nature created you with something called a lumbar spine. And it's got a curvature for a reason. So we don't want a flat back. You want to contract your abdomen by bracing your abs inward so that you've got a natural, neutral curvature in your lower back. For some of you, like me, that actually means you need to arch your back. I actually have to very intentionally choose to arch my back. For some people, that's going to mean under arching. It really depends, and this is when a mirror becomes very helpful. Same thing on the other side. I'll show you from the front. We're working the left leg, feet together, knees bent, B stance, which is about a half of a step back, focusing on your front leg. Here we go. So when you bend over, it's technically a hip hinge. So you bend over because your hips are pressing back in space. Because your hips are pressing back in space, you fold over. So you're not choosing to bend over. You have to bend over because your hips push back into space and that draws your chest downward. Back leg's not doing anything, okay? Back leg is just there to stabilize. So you can see this is a single leg deadlift. I'm just giving you a bit of stability with the other leg. The reason why we're doing it is not because it's a way to cheat. It's just to give you guys some great variety, but also this is one way that you can actually do a more challenging weight load on your single leg deadlift because you've got the stability of that opposite foot. One more, going into Arnold Press. Feet under the hips, knees soft. You're going to start with your palms facing you, ends of the dumbbells together. Reverse your dumbbell ends, tap at the top. That's 1. Here's 2 for 12. Keep your abs braced and drawn in. And remember what I said at the beginning of the workout. This is a shoulder exercise. So even though you're pressing up, I still want your shoulder girdle releasing down. Drop that shoulder girdle down towards your waist, even when your arms are extended upward. 15, unless you don't have heavy enough equipment at home. If that's the case, if 12 repetitions, if that's easy, you're going to do 15 if you don't have heavy enough dumbbells. You can also make this harder by pausing at the bottom, then press. One more. Pause, then press. That is how you can make the weight load heavier, even though it's not heavier. So your goal is for 12 reps to be hard. If they're not, add the pause, which is an isometric contraction, which is increasing the time under tension of the muscle, which makes the set harder. So it's relatively heavier using the same weight load. Otherwise, I want you to commit to getting yourself some heavier dumbbells because remember, this is a strength workout. This is not a cardio workout. You get some cardiovascular benefit for sure. My heart rate gets up on some of the exercises, but the real goal is to feel it in your musculature. Be challenged by the weight of the exercise so that you can improve your overall strength. Short break, real short break if you want a harder workout today or if your fitness level is higher. And we're going to get ready to go into our second superset of these same 2 exercises. B stance, single leg dead, starting with working that right leg. Feet together, knees bent, partial step back. Neutral arch in your lower back, and here we go. 12 reps, squeeze your glutes. If you've got a mirror nearby, please use it. Mirrors are super, super important in order to check your body positioning. There's something called proprioception. Proprioception is the awareness of where your body is in space without visually looking at it. So like right now, I can't see my right foot, but I know where it is in space. I can't see my booty, but I know where my booty is, right? That's called proprioception, an internal awareness of where your body is. So that proprioception often lies when there is misalignment or when there is malfunction around a joint. And that's why mirrors are important, because your eyeballs got to see what's going on, because your proprioception can often lie until you learn what exercises feel like when you're in proper position. Second set, other side, knee is bent, and you're also going to notice on an exercise like this, a single leg deadlift, or some could call this a B stance Romanian deadlift, one leg is going to be very different than the other. This leg is so different for me. I had a pretty substantial hamstring tear in my 20s on this leg, and it comes and goes in terms of functionality. Sometimes it's really great, sometimes it's really wonky, but nonetheless, I have to give my right leg more love on exercises like this. And that's when a mirror is super, super helpful, because you can see what's going on. You know, for years, I followed that cue, flat back, flat back, flat back, until I pulled my back. And then I really started using my mirror, and I was like, oh, I don't want a flat back because I already have a flattened lumbar curve. So for me, my body actually needs to come into a bit more of an arch in the lower spine. Arnold Press, if that first set was comfortable, please choose a heavier weight load. And if that first set was really hard, choose a lighter weight load. Palms in front, drop your shoulders towards your hips. No tension in your neck. Let your deltoids, that beautiful rounded muscle on the outer part of your shoulder, do the work. Big push up over the head. And again, if you don't have hard enough weight loads, pause right here. And when you're pausing, this front position is not a relaxed position. You've got tension on the muscle before you press. Tension on the muscle before you press. And if your weight load is challenging, you don't have to use that pause at the beginning unless you're brand new in your strength training journey. I think a pause is always very helpful when you're starting to learn proprioception. One more here, shorter break if you're going to do a third superset. Let me show you our next two exercises. We've got an oldie but goodie, a beloved favorite that shows up in almost all my leg workouts. We've got a goblet squat, and we've got a bent over reverse fly for the rear deltoid. It's the muscle in the back of the shoulder that really helps to keep your shoulders retracted in space. Goblet squat, you're going to want a heavier dumbbell or kettlebell, holding it at your sternum. Make contact with your sternum and keep that contact. Toes are turned open, but not nearly as open or as wide on that first exercise. Elbows under you, chest is up. The bottom of the move, your hips are below your knees, but your chest is lifted. Second exercise is a bent over fly. Now, you're going to want to go a little bit lighter on this exercise. Feet together, knees bent, neutral curvature in your lower back. Head is in alignment, coming out to the side, keeping your head in alignment with your spine and a neutral arch in your lower back. That is your reverse fly. Definitely a lighter weight load. Most women need about 3 to 5 pounds on this exercise, unless you are more advanced and you've been doing this exercise on a consistent basis. Goblet squat, 12 reps. Grab your proper weight load, 10, 15, 20. Some of you might even be doing 30 or 40 pounds. Chest is up, hips are down. Squeeze your glutes. Exhale as you stand. heavy on your heels. Keep your chest lifted. At the bottom, make sure, well, at the bottom, your goal is that your hips are below your knees. And that might take you a while to get there, but this bottom position, your pelvis really should be below your knees, but it's not bum to the ground. We're not trying to get your butt all the way down to the ground. We just want your pelvis below your knees. And bent over, reverse fly, rear delt, bent over fly. A lot of different names for this exercise. Nonetheless, feet together, knees bent, neutral arch in your lower back, dumbbells in front of your knees, draw your shoulder blades towards each other, and fly away, my friend. Bring those shoulder blades together. This exercise is like extra magic when you really put your shoulder blades towards your hips. Oh, it's so good. This exercise is fabulous for hitting that area around the backside of your scapula that circles down around your bra strap. So that area where some women complain of body fat overlapping the bra strap area, this is a great exercise to address that if you push your shoulders towards your hips. If you press your shoulders down into that depressed, anchored position with a bit of a natural curvature in your lower back. One of the best exercises you can be doing if you get those shoulders down towards your waist and it hits this area so beautifully, even though we're targeting the rear delt, which is the backside of your shoulders. Short break, unless you want to get out ahead and do a third superset. How did that goblet squat feel? Did that goblet squat, was that challenging? I know that you might be limited in your range of motion. If you're not able to sit all the way down where your hips are below your knees, that's okay. But over time, I want you to workshop it during your workouts so that eventually you do have that mobility and flexibility to be able to sit down so that your pelvis is below your knees. And if you're there and you're limited by your home exercise equipment, give me a pause at the bottom and a big booty squeeze at the top. Here we go, second set. If you're new to goblet squats, one important key is that you're keeping your weight load touching your upper chest. Critical. Knees are soft. Here we go. Squeeze those glutes. Here. Weight load on your heels. Four more-ish, counting out your repetitions for 12. Going right into that dumbbell rear delt reverse fly. I'm only using 3 pounds on this exercise because I know the value of excellent technique. When you've got excellent technique, you can use lighter weight loads more effectively. Feet together, knees bent, arch in your back, dumbbells in front of your knees, shoulders towards your waist. Fly away, giving me a pause at the top if your weight load is a little light, which it really should be on this exercise. I'll tell you, there are a few exercises where I really believe most people should be going a little light, because here's why. This is one of those exercises where almost never have I had a client who was really able to do it proficiently. Almost every client I've ever worked with has been weak in this movement pattern, men included. And so just over the years, I've always known 99.999 people need to start this exercise a little on the light side. And when you do, it's a whole lot more effective. Because here's the thing, I'd rather you use a slightly lighter weight load and get awesome technique. You should always have excellent technique, except for the last 2 to 3 repetitions where you start to lose your technique. But this exercise is super important for shoulder health and for protecting you from injury. So most people are going to be doing 3 pounds to 5 pounds. Even my male clients that I've worked with, generally I start them at 5 pounds, and very rarely do they get up to 8 or 10 pounds with excellent technique. Okay, we just did 2 sets. So I got to show you our next superset. Next 2 exercises, we've got a leg paired with an ab exercise. So I've got a new ab exercise for you that we've never done before. It comes with a bit of caution. Let me demonstrate. First exercise, split squat with an overhead hold. You're going to want to use a moderate to heavy weight load. You're going to start with your feet together, holding your dumbbell in your left hand, knee soft, stepping back on your left foot, getting into position, and from here is your split squat for 12, and then we will immediately switch and do the other leg. First exercise, using that same weight load, you're going to drop it to your side, opposite hand at your head, feet under your hips, abs drawn in. We're coming into, yes, I'm doing it properly. We're coming into a lateral contraction. Now listen, you need to start this exercise very cautiously. Start small, maybe even start without any weight load whatsoever. If you've done this exercise before, your goal is to get that dumbbell down towards the top of the knee. But listen, if you haven't been doing this, you need to be extra cautious because it's an unusual movement for the spine. It's great. I love it. And please be careful. All right, split squat, overhead hold. Find your weight load, left hand, feet together, knees bent, dumbbell over your head, stepping back into a split squat, making sure you have space between your feet from right to left. Take a moment to really get into a comfy position here before you begin on the ball of that back toe, and let's start just dropping that knee down. There's 1, 2, 3, standing super tall, 4. This exercise really is about your front leg. 6, put your mental focus on that front leg, driving into the front heel. If you've got discomfort in your back toes, use something under your other hand for support. And if you have discomfort in the back toes, you need to be working on your toe mobility every single day. We'll do it later in this workout. Same thing on the other side. Feet together, knees bent, switch hands with your dumbbell. Knees bent, find your position first. This exercise in particular, like a Bulgarian split squat, I find it super helpful to really get a comfy position before you begin. Very intentional in setting up this exercise. 4 more-ish. And moving into our next exercise. Coming down to the ground, we've got, doing our standing lateral flex. Dumbbell is in your left hand. Feet are under your hips, hands at your head. Draw your abs in tight before you begin. A couple of inches, pull upright. A couple of inches, pull upright. If the coast is clear and this feels okay, you can go another inch. Imagine there is a wall at your back and you are tracing the wall, keeping your shoulders and your hips touching the wall. This is a true lateral movement. There is no forward angle. It's as if you were just sliding down the wall, taking the dumbbell towards the knee so that the opposite side is pulling against that dumbbell. So this is technically a strength exercise for this side pulling against the dumbbell. 12 on each side. If you are skilled and experienced with this exercise and you want to do more than 12, that's totally cool. But if you are newer, and if you've been with me here this past year for these amazing live workouts, we've never done this exercise before. So please be very cautious, as I said. While I do like this exercise, it does have to be done very responsibly because it is a somewhat unnatural movement pattern for the spine. It's still important though, because here's the thing, at the end of the day, your body is meant to move in all of these different directions. And so this is a movement pattern that you're designed to make. And in any given day, there might be a time where you actually perform this type of a movement pattern. Let's say you're sitting at your desk and you drop your pencil to the floor and you want to bend over to pick it up. In some way, shape, or form, you will inevitably have an action in your day where you're side bending. And so exercises like these, if they're done cautiously, are super, super helpful to reinforce what you're doing out there in the real world. Short rest, and then we're going to do these 2 exercises one more time. Then we'll be going down onto the ground for our final superset. We're going to be doing a glute bridge extension, and we're going to be doing an elbow plank. So if anybody beats me there and you know my language and my choreographing, you'll have an idea of where we're going. Okay, second set. Split squat, overhead hold. Grab yourself a good weight load, left hand, feet together, extend, knees bent, stepping back, find your happy place, getting on the ball of that back foot, using a chair or a wall for support if you need it. Here we go. 12 reps, unless it's easy. If that's easy for you because you are limited by your equipment, then you can do more than 12. But don't tell me 12 is easy and that you need to do more when you've got a heavier dumbbell standing nearby. Because remember, this is a strength-based workout. My workouts are different than the other workouts you're going to see out there in internet land. And the difference is you choosing to challenge your strength by using a heavier dumbbell. 12 reps, going right into that other side. Switching hands, setting it up. This is one of those exercises that has a tendency to be a bit more cardiovascular in nature because it is hard. If you find this exercise hard, welcome to the club, because it is. Knees are bent, stepping back, find that space. I find that of all the exercises out there, our basic foundational exercises, this is the one of them that is the hardest, for sure, for the majority of people. Three more. Switching hands with that dumbbell, coming into side lateral flexion. Feet are under the hips, abs drawn in. Make it a true lateral flexion. 12 to 15 repetitions, depending on your familiarity with this exercise and depending on your weight load. If you're familiar, if you've done this exercise before, you can go quite heavy on this exercise, but only if you're skilled and practiced and you know your body and you know this movement. Two more. Love this exercise for tightening up the sides of the torso. For those of you guys that want to tighten, strengthen, tone this area through the back of the hip even, it's a great exercise. And it's also just really good for lateral spinal flexion. And again, be conservative, listen to your body. It is going to feel a little bit like a stretch right there at the bottom. So you are going to get a bit of a stretch on this side. And remember, here is where we're working. So right now, that muscle is pulling this dumbbell upward. So you get a stretch, but the real work is on the pull. The work is on the pull. You could do this exercise with a resistance band under your right foot and in your right hand. And this would also be a really great variation of this exercise. But today we are dumbbells only. And relax. Short break. Yes, short break. Unless you're doing 3 supersets. And let me show you our next 2 exercises. We're going down onto the ground. So please do make sure that you've got a cushioned surface because we're going to be doing an elbow plank. And so you are going to want a little bit of comfort under your elbows, whatever that means for you. First exercise on your back, knees bent, hands by your hips. You're going to bring your heels up to touch your fingertips. Then you're going to lift your feet just away a couple of inches and turn your toes open. From here, you're going to tuck your pelvis under slightly, coming up into a bridge. And now we hold our bridge position very strongly. Extend one leg and alternate. Your goal is to keep your pelvis as stable as possible without dropping side to side. You're going to do 12 on each leg for a total of 24 repetitions. And then our final exercise is our elbow plank. So you're going to come forward onto elbows. You can either have your hands parallel or you can make a fist in between, and you're going to step back, feet together. From here, you can hold this position if that's challenging for you. And if it's not that challenging, we're going to come into alternating elbow plank, where you pause with your weight on one leg at a time. Same thing, 12 repetitions for a total of 24 reps, alternating sides, just like we're doing on that glute bridge. Okay, on your back, let's get started. Feet on the floor, hands by your sides. Bring your fingertips down to find your heels. Then just move your heels away a little bit, about probably about 2 inches. And then from here, pelvis tucks under, okay? Coming up into your glute bridge. And then you're gonna hold your glute bridge with your pelvis tucked under a little bit. You're gonna feel that booty grab. That is the name of the game. And from here, keep your hips high, extend, don't let those hips drop. We hit for a beat and then switch. So listen, this is not a kicking. You're not just kicking out, switching sides, okay? I want you to really deliberately hold, pause, switch. Hold, pause, switch. The benefit of this exercise is here. So you've got to pause there because this is the value. So if you're just kicking in and out, you're not going to get a lot of value here. Really hold. You want that leg to come out at about a 45-degree angle from your body. So your thighs stay almost perfectly parallel to each other. Your kicking leg might be a little higher than your supporting leg, but your job is to keep your hips up. If you get tired, take a little break and just reset, because I want you to keep your hips high and don't let them collapse when you shift your weight onto one leg. "12 on each leg, 24 in total. Another one of my favorite exercises of all time, even though you know I have a lot of favorite exercises. Short little rest before we flip over for elbow plank. Now remember, on your elbow plank, you can just hold a static elbow plank for a count of 20, a count of 20 or 30 or 10 or 40, wherever your fitness level is, you can hold an isometric plank. It's a super valuable exercise. And if you find that a little bit easy, we're going to destabilize by shifting the weight onto one foot. So feet together in position, and here we go. Lift. All you're doing is just like we did on our back, is you're just taking your weight onto one foot. This isn't really about kicking the foot high. This is about putting all of your weight onto one foot and then pausing for a moment so that you get the value of the exercise, okay? Make sure you put your weight onto that foot and then a hold. You want to keep your hips about the height of your shoulders, not too low, but not too high, okay? Heavy back onto that foot, pausing and holding, 12 repetitions on each side for a total of 24. And about 2 more. And then we're gonna take a short break. During this break, I'm gonna take you through my favorite foot-toe mobility exercises. And remember, if you need a shorter break, you're gonna jump right back in and complete a second set of that glute extension. For now, tuck your toes under, bring your feet together, tuck those toes under, neutral arch in your lower back, super important, and shift your weight back onto your feet, just rolling back and forth. Look down, your feet should be right next to each other, and you want to try to keep them as symmetric to each other as possible. You're rolling back and forth depending on the discomfort this brings for you. And if this is like no discomfort, you're actually going to come to knees down and then fully sit and smoosh those toes. Push your weight heavy down into the toes so that you get a lot of that toe flexion. That is a skill. That is actually the sign of very healthy feet. And in my experience now of coaching people for 30 years, I feel that about 60% of the population is like me, where they've got limited mobility and pain in their toes. And about 40% of the population has awesome toe mobility. And so the truth is, while I'm not proud of it, it's the reality. We all have weaknesses in the system of things that we need to work on, and forefoot mobility and toe flexion on that joint is so important. If that's painful to you, don't dismiss it as, oh, I've got arthritis in my toes. That's actually not what it is. You've got reduced mobility in your toe joints, and you can work on it and you can fix it, and you should. Let's go into our second set. Touch your heels, move your feet away, toes are open slightly. Tuck your pelvis under, coming to bridge. Get yourself into a really good, happy, comfy position before you begin. And as always, if you need to take a break, you'll just come back and reset this position. You can also stay in this position if you want. If you just want to hold an isometric glute bridge, you can. You can also just make this a traditional lifting and lowering glute bridge if for some reason this single leg version is not comfortable for you, or too challenging, or if it's questionable on your back or knees. It shouldn't be, but everyone has a unique situation with their body. And if you know for whatever reason this exercise is not ideal for your body, please make a modification. Keeping those hips in space. And if you start to sag too much or get fatigued, drop your hips, reset, and can then continue. "24 in total, and when you're done, releasing it down, relax for a couple of seconds just to let the muscles of your lower back relax and neutralize a bit before we flip over into that single leg elbow plank. Flipping over, and remember, as I said, if you just want to hold your elbow plank, you can come up to a forearm extended, full arm extended plank if you want. You can make a fist, you can keep your hands straight. Whichever really feels the most productive for your body. As always, really set yourself up well and hold here, or just bring your body weight onto one foot. And then pause so that your body has to really develop strength around that individual foot. So this isn't about kicking. This isn't about squeezing your butt. It's not a leg lift. This is about bringing your body weight onto one foot so that that side of your body has to strengthen and adapt. And it's a single leg plank. It's not a booty leg kick. Okay? It's a single leg plank. one leg, plank, and hold for all of that goodness. Good stuff. This will make you fierce and strong and resilient. 24 in total. And when you're finished, coming into toe mobility, round number 2. Feet together and just rolling back and forth. If this is painful on your toes, you just stay here. And if you're doing a third superset, please begin. And we're gonna wrap up with just a couple of gentle cool down stretches, and then I'm gonna send you off, unless you're sticking around for the walking lunge workshop. If you'd like to join us live for this workout, please visit hollyperkins.com/free workout, and you can sign up to join us live if you would like to join us for the walking lunge workshop that happens after the workout. And from here, come on up onto your feet. Promise me you'll lift your knees 10 times. Don't just stand up quickly, because you will get dizzy and you do run the risk of passing out, and we don't want that to happen. 10 times lift the knees. This helps to bring the blood flow back up to your head. Your musculature in your legs is a very important component of recirculating your blood back upward against gravity. Your heart doesn't do that, the musculature of your legs do. And let's take a big inhale up. Exhale it out. One more time. I've got 2 stretches for you. Exhale it out. Take your left arm across your body. Make sure that it is low across your torso, and then pull it in. Just make sure that you've got that shoulder pushing down towards your hip. As always, with a high shoulder, you're not going to get a good stretch. You want that shoulder down so that your arm is coming straight across your body. And then you're using that opposite hand to pull in and also push outward that direction. And relax, same on the other side. Shoulder girdle is down. Bring it across, pull it in with this hand and push it out with that hand in that direction. Pushing and reaching out with the shoulder pushing towards your hips. Shoulder depression. Push it down, get that good stretch, and standing quadricep stretch. If you are challenged by balance, please use something to stabilize, a chair or a wall, feet together, knees bent. Bring your heel up back behind you. If this is too much, you can grab your shoe. You could even grab your pant leg or grab a strap or a belt. Quadricep stretch. From here, I want you to look down. I want you to tuck your pelvis under. Chances are that's going to make your knee move forward. Pelvis tucked under, lock it in place, draw your knee back in space. Keep the pelvis tucked under. Pelvis is under, knee is drawn back so that it's in alignment or behind your standing knee. That's how you stretch your quadriceps. And if it's hard for you to get into that position, that is proof that you got yourself some really tight quads, so you need to work on this. Again, grab the foot. Chances are your knee's going to be forward or way back, okay? You're going to tuck your pelvis under, and that's probably going to make your knee push forward. Keeping your pelvis tucked under, you draw the knee back. Tuck your pelvis under. Tuck this hip under. Tuck it under, and you're going to feel that quadricep get more of a stretch. That's because your quadriceps originate above your hip and they insert below your knee. So the position of the knee and the position of the hip determine the full length of the muscle and the full stretch that you're getting. And most people have super tight quadriceps, so it's really hard to get into this position. So if you find it hard to get into this position, it means you've got tight quads and you need to work on it. Thank you for joining me. I hope you'll join us next time for a free live workout with the gang. hollyperkins.com/free workout. I'll see you next time.